This is the high-speed version of how to play Democracy. We're doing it quick so you can listen to it twice. This is a fast-moving game, so try to keep up. Opponents may differ in your version. These are your supporters. Every turn you'll get more to place in the tiles. These are the faction tiles. If you have more supporters on a tile than anyone else, you will win one of these, a power card. This is influence. Influence is political power, pure and simple. You use it to vote on 3 of these, law cards, each turn. The goal of the game is to collect this, political capital, victory points. There are 5 turns in the game. The first thing you do is collect supporters and influence. Second, place supporters on 2 faction tiles. The players do it all at once secretly by picking 2 ballot cards. Next, you get to promote supporters along the arrows. Third, players vote on 3 law cards using their influence. Fourth, players collect political capital, victory points, for not using power cards, and then they figure out which player or coalition has the most supporters in the faction, and thus who gets the power card. Justice breaks all ties. In a game with small numbers, that's a big deal. Let's start the game proper. First, each player puts a support of the politics tile, choosing one of the 5 roles. This describes their political beliefs, but the game is about the process, not the politics. You can be change, progress, or tradition, keeping things the same. You can be liberty, less government, or regulate, Canada. Last but not least, you can be a centrist. Next, deal out the power cards to the players, so that each player starts with at least 1. Deal out the numbered power cards first, then the rest. Turn 1, each player takes 6 influence and 6 supporters. Each player then picks 2 out of the 6 ballot cards and places them face down on the table. They then divide their supporters between their 2 fists and hold them over the cards. On the count of 3, all the players turn over the ballot cards and drop the supporters on them. Then everyone moves these supporters to the right faction tile. Next, players get to promote their supporters along the arrows. 1 supporter per player per arrow. Like with everything else, players all move at the same time onto the arrows. Don't worry if someone else does something you don't like, just take back your move. Once everyone has finalized the promotions, move the supporters on the arrows onto the tile the arrow is pointing at. Now we move on to voting, the heart of the game. You're voting yes or no on 3 law cards. Player with a lawmaker's card picks 2 law cards out of the 5 drawn from the deck. The player with the president card picks 1 law card from the discard pile. Then the lawmaker puts the 3 law cards in any order they want. Now you get to vote on the first law card. Each player picks either the yes or no ballot card. Then everyone reveals their cards on the count of 3 and divides into 2 groups, the yes team and the no team. Yes team always votes first, and they now may place influence on their card. Then the no team votes by putting influence on their ballot card. They must collectively beat the yes team in terms of the amount of influence they put down. The bidding goes back and forth until one team drops out. Just like at an auction, if you win, you must pay, but if you lose, you owe nothing. Sometimes you want to lose a vote so the other side squanders all their influence. Now you determine the results of the vote. Each law card has a winner and a loser. The winner is the person named in green. The loser is the person named in red. If the yes vote wins, the green player gets +2 supporters to place on a faction tile, and the red player must remove 2 supporters. If the no vote wins, nothing happens. Second, each member of the winning team gets 1 political capital. Third, the player who spent the most influence gets to keep the law card, which can be worth political capital at the end of the game. Now you go through the same process for the next 2 law cards. Finally, you move on to the coalitions phase and resolve the turn. Players collect political capital for every power card they did not use. Next, you resolve who gets the power card for each faction. The player with the most supporters, or the coalition with the most supporters, wins the power card. Then you choose a president. The player with the most supporters in media plus voters gets to decide, but they can't choose themselves. Last, you assign the Maverick card to the player with the least political capital plus power cards. Turn 2, you start the process all over again. But this time, players get 3 influence and 3 supporters, plus the bonuses listed in the power cards they just won. You win the game by collecting the most political capital. However, there are a couple of twists. First of all, you can lose all of your collected political capital if more unrest cards and order cards were passed during the voting phases. If it's a tie, you get to keep only as many as you have supporters on the lawmaker tile. Secondly, players get endgame political capital bonuses called accomplishments. These can tip the balance if someone gets more than their fair share. You know the game is over when you have run out of law cards. A word of advice: don't get hung up on details, keep the game moving. Tell first-time players not to use their power cards if they can help it, and take the political capital instead. Also tell them they don't need a strategy or even know all the rules, as long as they know how to negotiate.